Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bobby Underwood and Zalmen Mlotek for an evening celebrating Tom Lehrer.
Spring is here, a spring is here. Life is skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you? Of course you do. But there's one thing that makes spring complete for me and makes every Sunday a treat for me. All the world seems in tune on a spring afternoon when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated with cyanide. The sun's shining bright, everything seems all right when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. La la, la 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 la, diddy, doo. We've gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the Audubon Society with our games. They call it impiety and a lack of propriety and quite a variety of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. So if Sunday you're free, why don't you come with me and we'll poison the pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We'll murder them all amid laughter and merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickening with each drop of strychnine we feed to a pigeon. It just takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the park. I hope I didn't spit on you too much. Thank you all very much for coming. We are here tonight to celebrate the brilliant Tom Lehrer on his 97th birthday. Tom couldn't be here tonight, mostly because we couldn't find a number to call and invite him. But we celebrate him anyway. All of Tom Lehrer's songs, one never refers to him simply as Lehrer, all of Tom Lehrer's songs, from the political to the nonsensical, feel as though they could be written today, and we are so excited to share them with you, whether you've heard them before or not. I'm Bobby Underwood, and thank you. And that piano whiz over there is artistic director of the National Yiddish Theater Volksbühne and my friend and three-time music director, Zalmen Mlotek. And we are so happy that you decided to spend your Wednesday evening with us instead of staying home and catching up on White Lotus. No matter your level of familiarity with Tom Lehrer, we wanted you to hear his own introductions to his songs wherever possible, because they're a part of what makes them so special. Just know that these jokes and songs, most of them, were written in the 1950s and 60s, when the standards of what you should and should not say in public were different. There were things you couldn't say then, and there are things you can't say now. But those things have changed. So just keep in mind tonight that anything you hear that might offend you was written by him, and anything that doesn't was written by us. Tom Lehrer was born on April 9th, 1928, to a secular Jewish family on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. He attended Horace Mann in the Bronx and spent his summers at Camp Androscoggin in Maine, where he met and befriended a young Stephen Sondheim. We don't know much about Tom Lehrer's love life, but he certainly had opinions about love and marriage, and to that end, we plan to illustrate several subspecies of his love songs tonight. This first one is the kind where one spouse sings to the other that although the years ahead will undoubtedly destroy every vestige of their already dubious charms, their love nevertheless will shine on. Since I still appreciate you, let's find love while we may, because I know I'll hate you when you are old and gray. So say you love me here and now, I'll make the most of that. Say you love and trust me, for I know you'll disgust me when you're old and getting fat. An awful debility, a lessened utility, a loss of mobility is a strong possibility. In all probability, I'll lose my virility, and you your fertility and desirability. And this liability of total sterility will lead to hostility and a sense of futility. So let's act with agility while we still have facility, for we'll soon reach senility and lose the ability. Your teeth will start to go, dear, your waist will start to spread. In 20 years or so, dear, I'll wish that you were dead. I'll never love you then at all the way I do today. So please remember, when I leave in December, I told you so in May. Despite Tom Lehrer's many insights into marriage and long-lasting relationships, when asked if he had ever been married or had children, he said, "Not guilty on both counts." Switching gears, one reads in the newspaper, if one still reads newspapers, almost every day during the hunting season about somebody who has shot somebody else, perhaps thinking he was a deer in a red hat, perhaps a large, flesh-colored squirrel. Occasionally, the shooter is the vice president. I'd like to dedicate this song to Dick Cheney and all others like him who enjoy this delightful blood sport. I always will remember, 'twas a year ago November. I went out to hunt some deer on a morning bright and clear. I went and shot the maximum the game laws would allow. 2 game wardens, 7 hunters, and a cow. I was in no mood to trifle. I took down my trusty rifle and went out to stalk my prey. What a haul I made that day. I tied them to my fender and I drove them home somehow. 2 game wardens, 7 hunters, and a cow. The law was very firm, it took away my permit, the worst punishment I ever endured. It turned out there was a reason, cows were out of season, and one of the hunters wasn't insured. People ask me how I do it, and I say there's nothing to it. You just stand there looking cute, and when something moves, you shoot. And there's 10 stuffed heads in my trophy room right now. 2 game wardens, 7 hunters, and a purebred Guernsey cow. We'd like to turn now to the folk song. We have here an ancient Irish ballad, which was written a few years ago, and which is replete with all the accoutrements of the genre, including interminable verses, that being a feature expressly designed to please the true devotees of the folk song, who seem to find singing 50 verses of On Top of Old Smoky twice as enjoyable as singing 25. One of the more important aspects of the folk song is audience participation, and this happens to be a good song for group singing. So if you are the sort of person who feels inclined to join in with me on this song, I'd like to ask you to leave. Right now. A About a maid I sing a song, sing rickety-tickety-tin. About a maid I sing a song who didn't have her family long. Not only did she do them wrong, she did every one of them in. She did every one of them in. Her mother she could never stand, sing rickety-tickety-tin. Her mother she could never stand, and so a cyanide soup she planned. The mother died with a spoon in her hand, and her face in a hideous grin, her face in a hideous grin. One morning in a fit of pique, sing rickety-tickety-tin. One morning in a fit of pique, she drowned her father in the creek. The water tasted bad for a week, and we had to make do with gin. We had to make do with gin.
She set her sister's hair on fire, sing rickety-tickety-tin. She set her sister's hair on fire, and as the smoke and flame grew higher, she danced around the funeral pyre, playing the violin,
Playing a violin.
She weighted her brother down with stones, sing rickety-tickety-tin. She weighted her brother down with stones and sent him off to Davy Jones. All they ever found was some bones and occasional pieces of skin.
Occasional pieces of skin. One day when she had nothing to do, sing rickety-tickety-tin. One day when she had nothing to do, she cut her baby brother in two and served him up as an Irish stew, and invited the neighbors in, invited the neighbors in. And when at last the police came by, sing rickety-tickety-tin. And when at last the police came by, her little pranks she did not deny. To do so she would have had to lie. And lying she knew was a sin. Lying she knew was a sin. Our tragic tale we won't prolong, sing rickety-tickety-tin. Our tragic tale we won't prolong, and if you did not enjoy our song, you've yourselves to blame if it's too long. You should never have let us begin. You should never have let us begin. One of Tom Lehrer's idols was Danny Kaye. Sure, go ahead. I'll tell him you said that. Danny Kaye, of course, was famous for his song Tchaikovsky, in which he simply lists every Russian composer he can think of, as well as a routine about the great Russian director Stanislavski and his success in the acting profession. Tom Lehrer thought it would be interesting to adapt this notion to the field of mathematics. And this endeavor was so successful that in the 1960s, it inspired a young Harvard student named Barbara Underwood, for those who don't know, that's my mother, to write her senior thesis on the dawn of non-Euclidean geometry, whatever that is. Here, then, is the story of the great Russian mathematician Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky. Who made me the genius I am today? The mathematician that others all quote. Who's the professor that made me that way? The greatest that ever got chalk on his coat. One man deserves the credit, one man deserves the blame, and Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky is his name. Hey, Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky. I am never forget the day I first meet the great Lobachevsky. In one word, he taught me secret of success in mathematics. Plagiarize. Plagiarize. Let no one else's work evagerize. Remember why the good Lord made your eyes, so don't shade your eyes, but plagiarize, plagiarize, plagiarize. Only be sure always to call it, please, research. And ever since I meet this man, my life is not the same. And Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky is his name. Hey, Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky. I am never forget the day I am given first original paper to write. It was on analytic and algebraic topology of local Euclidean metrization of infinitely differential Riemannian. Bože moj. This I know from nothing, what I'm going to do. But I think of great Lobachevsky and I get idea, ha-ha! I have a friend in Minsk who has a friend in Pinsk, whose friend in Omsk has friend in Tomsk with friend in Akmolinsk. His friend in Alexandrovsk has friend in Petropavlovsk, whose friend somehow is solving now the problem in Dnepropetrovsk. And when his work is done, ha-ha, begins the fun. From Dnepropetrovsk to Petropavlovsk, by way of Ilysk and Novorossiysk to Alexandrovsk to Akmolinsk to Tomsk to Omsk to Pinsk to Minsk, to me the news will run. Yes, to me the news will run. And then I write by morning, night, and afternoon, and pretty soon my name in Dnepropetrovsk is cursed. When he finds out, I publish first. And who made me a big success and brought me wealth and fame? Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky is his name. Hey, Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky. I am never forget the day my first book is published. Every chapter I stole from somewhere else. Index I copy from old Vladivostok telephone directory. This book was sensational. Pravda, well, Pravda says it stinks. But Izvestia says, ja, idu tu katat sam idiot peshkom. It stinks. Metro Goldwyn Moskva buys movie rights for 6 million rubles, changing title to The Eternal Triangle, with Ingrid Bergman playing part of Hypotenuse. And who deserves the credit and who deserves the blame? Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky is his name. Hey! Tom Lehrer was perhaps obviously a mathematics major at Harvard University, which he entered at 15. He got a BA and an MA from Harvard and spent several years there in their doctoral program, presumably just for fun. It was there that he began to write comic songs for his friends, and on Saturday afternoons he often found himself with nothing to do, so he would wander over to the football stadium and discover that the football fight songs were, as he put it, uncouth and even violent. So he wrote his own song, which led the New York Times to say the following about him. Mr. Lehrer's muse is unfettered by such inhibiting factors as taste. Fight fiercely, Harvard, fight, fight, fight. Demonstrate to them our skill. Albeit they possess the might, nonetheless we have the will. How we shall celebrate our victory. We shall invite the whole team up for tea. Oh, jolly, hurl that spheroid down the field and fight, fight, fight. Fight fiercely, Harvard. Fight, fight, fight. Impress them with our prowess. Do. Oh, fellas, do not let the crimson down. Be of stout heart and true. Come on, chaps, fight for Harvard's glorious name. Won't it be peachy if we win the game? Oh, goody, let's try not to injure them. But fight, fight, fight. Let's not be rough, though. Fight, 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 and do fight fiercely. Fight, fight, fight. And now, to a different type of love song. I hold your hand in mine, dear. I press it to my lips. I take a healthy bite from your dainty fingertips. My joy would be complete, dear, if you were only here. But still I keep your hand as a precious souvenir. The night you died, I cut it off. I really don't know why. For now, each time I kiss it, I get bloodstains on my tie. I'm sorry now I killed you, for our love was something fine. And till they come to get me, I shall hold your hand in mine. Tom Lehrer said that of all the songs he has ever sung, that was the one that he had the most requests not to. I myself have frequently employed it as an audition song for Sweeney Todd. In fact, in the 1960s, Tom Lehrer tried to adapt Sweeney Todd into a musical. But as he said decades later, nothing ever came of it, and 20 years later, Stephen Sondheim beat me to the punch. And now to a different type of love song. I'm sure you're all familiar with songs on the order of He's Just My Bill, My Max, My Joe, My Man, and so on, in which the woman who sings them tells us that although the man she loves is antisocial, alcoholic, physically repulsive, or just plain unsanitary, that nevertheless she is his because he is hers, and like that. But there had never been a popular song from the analogous male point of view, that is to say, a man who finds himself in love with, or in this case married to, a woman who has nothing whatsoever to recommend her. Or at least there hadn't been, until Tom Lehrer provided us with this gem. Sharks gotta swim, and bats gotta fly. I gotta love one woman till I die. To Ed or Dick or Bob, she may be just a slob, but to me, well, she's my girl. In winter, the bedroom is one large ice cube, and she squeezes the toothpaste from the middle of the tube. Her hairs in the sink have driven me to drink, but she's my girl, she's my girl, she's my girl, and I love her. The girl that I lament for, the girl my money's spent for, the girl my back is bent for, the girl I owe the rent for, the girl I gave up Lent for, is the girl that heaven meant for me. So though for breakfast she makes coffee that tastes like shampoo, I get home for dinner and get peanut butter stew. Or if I'm in luck, it's broiled hockey puck. But oh well, what the hell? She's my girl, and I love her. Our next song is an ode to the organization formerly known as the Boy Scouts of America, of which Tom Lehrer said, "I am not now, nor have I ever been a member." The Boy Scouts have since been renamed Scouting America, and he still is not a member. But according to a recent Google search, their motto still is, "Be prepared." That's the Boy Scouts marching song. Be prepared. As through life you march along, be prepared to hold your liquor pretty well. Don't write naughty words on walls if you can't spell. Be prepared to hide that pack of cigarettes. Don't make book if you cannot cover bets. Keep those reefers hidden where you're sure that they will not be found. And be careful not to smoke them when the scoutmaster's around, for he only will insist that they be shared. Be prepared. Be prepared. That's the Boy Scout's solemn creed. Be prepared. And be clean in word and deed. Don't solicit for your sister, that's not nice, unless you get a good percentage of her price. Be prepared. And be careful not to do your good deeds when there's no one watching you. If you're looking for adventure of a new and different kind, and you come across a Girl Scout who is similarly inclined, don't be nervous, don't be flustered, don't be scared, be prepared. In the 1970s, Tom Lehrer was brought out of retirement to write some songs for a PBS television show called The Electric Company. And some of you may remember it. His songs were sung by the cast, which included Rita Moreno and a not yet famous Morgan Freeman. It being a PBS show, its main purpose was education. Oh, I skipped a song. Yes, let's go back. If I may digress now from the mainstream of this evening's symposium. No, you'll be glad that I went back to this one, trust me. If I may digress now from the mainstream of this evening's symposium, we would like to do a song that is completely pointless. Although it may perhaps prove useful to some of you someday, perhaps if you ever find yourself back in a high school science class. It's simply the names of the chemical elements set to a possibly recognizable tune. There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen and rhenium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium, and lanthanum, and osmium, and astatine, and radium, and golden protactinium, and indium, and gallium, and iodine, and thorium, and thulium, and thallium. There's yttrium, ytterbium, actinium, rubidium, and boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, and strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, and bismuth, bromide, lithium, beryllium, and barium. Isn't that interesting? I knew you would. I hope you're all taking notes because there's going to be a short quiz next period. Hang on. There's holmium and helium and hafnium and erbium and phosphorus and francium and fluorine and terbium and manganese and mercury, molybdenum, magnesium, dysprosium and scandium and cerium and cesium and lead, praseodymium and platinum, plutonium, palladium, promethium, potassium, polonium and tantalum, technetium, titanium, tellurium and cadmium and calcium and chromium and curium. There's sulfur, californium, and fermium, berkelium, and also mendelevium, einsteinium, nobelium, and argon, krypton, neon, radon, xenon, zinc, and rhodium, and chlorine, carbon, cobalt, copper, tungsten, tin, and sodium. These are the only ones of which the news has come to Harvard. And there may be many others, but they haven't been discovered. What was I saying about the electric company? Morgan Freeman. We will move with our educational section. We will continue with our educational section and move from science class to English class. English is a complex language with 10 exceptions for every rule. So you can imagine my delight when, as a young boy, my mother told me that I could identify an adverb if the word ended in ly. And I thought, finally! A consistent rule in English. I thought this was just lovely. Here is our ode to the adverb. You're wearing your squeaky shoes, and right there taking a snooze is a tiger, so how do you walk on by? Silently, silently, silent, ly. You're a secret agent man who's after the secret plan. How do you act so they don't know you're a spy? Normally, normally, normal, ly. At an eating contest you boast that you can eat the most. How do you down your 50th piece of pie? Eagerly, eagerly, eager, ly. On the lake your boat upset and your clothes got soaking wet. How do you stand and wait for them to dry? Patiently, patiently, patient, ly. In the public library you fall and hurt your knee, but the sign says quiet please, so how can you cry? Quietly, quietly, quiet, L-Y. As you walk along the street, a porcupine you meet. How do you shake his hand when he says hi? Carefully, carefully, careful, L-Y. You enter a very dark room, and sitting there in the gloom is Dracula. Now how do you say goodbye? Immediately, immediately, immediate L-Y. Bye-bye. Another song he wrote for the Electric Company had to do with one of the most difficult things to master in the English language, which is the silent letter. Some of my favorites include the P in pneumonia, the S in apropos, and the GH in ought, bow, and dough. But the most prolific of them all is the silent E. Who can turn a can into a cane? Who can turn a pan into a pane? It's not too hard to see, it's silent E. Who can turn a cub into a cube? Who can turn a tub into a tube? It's elementary for silent E. He took a pin and turned it into a pine. He took a twin and turned him into twine. Who can turn a cap into a cape? Who can turn a tap into a tape? A little glob becomes a globe instantly if you just add silent E. He turned a damn alakazam into a Dane, but my friend Sam stayed just the same. Who can turn a man into a mane? Who can turn a van into a vein? A little hug becomes huge instantly. Don't add W, don't add X, and don't add Y or Z. Just add silent E. In the 1960s, there was a TV show that some of you may remember called That Was the Week That Was. It was, had nothing to do with it, but thank you. Sort of a precursor to Saturday Night Live. It started in England, and an American version soon followed, and Tom Lehrer was their resident songwriter. Accordingly, his final full-length album was called That Was the Year That Was, which is the album from which much of our remaining program comes. We have kept most of the lyrics intact. We have only updated a few references for people under 80 who might not know who people like Chet Huntley and David Brinkley and Sheriff Clark were. So, 1 week of every year used to be designated National Brotherhood Week. During National Brotherhood Week, various special events were planned to drive home the message of brotherhood. For example, the year that Tom Lehrer wrote the song, on the first day of the week, Malcolm X was killed, which gives you an idea of how effective the whole thing was. Tom Lehrer said, "I'm sure we all agree that we ought to love one another. I know there are people in the world who do not love their fellow human beings, and I hate people like that." Here's a song about National Brotherhood Week. Oh, the white folks hate the black folks, and the black folks hate the white folks. To hate all but the right folks is an old established rule, but during National Brotherhood Week, National Brotherhood Week, Donald Trump and AOC are dancing cheek to cheek. It's fun to eulogize the people you despise, as long as you don't let them in your school. Oh, the poor folks folks hate the rich folks, and the rich folks hate the poor folks. All of my folks hate all of your folks. It's American as apple pie. But during National Brotherhood Week, National Brotherhood Week, New Yorkers love the Puerto Ricans 'cause it's very chic. Step up and shake the hand of someone you can't stand. You can tolerate him if you try. Oh, the Protestants hate the Catholics, and the Catholics hate the Protestants, and the Hindus hate the Muslims, and everybody hates the Jews. But during National Brotherhood Week, National Brotherhood Week, it's national, everyone smile at one anotherhood week. Be nice to people who are inferior to you. It's only for a week, so have no fear. Be grateful that it doesn't last all year. I was hoping that might happen. A considerable amount of commotion used to get stirred up over the prospect of a multilateral force, known to the headline writers as MLF. The basic idea was that a bunch of us nations, the good guys, would get together on a joint nuclear deterrent force, including our current friends like France and our traditional friends like Germany. If one were to update that line, one might say our current friends like Russia and our traditional friends like Canada. Here's a song about that called the MLF Lullaby. Sleep, baby, sleep, in peace may you slumber. No danger lurks, your sleep to encumber. We've got the missiles, peace to determine, and one of the fingers on the button will be German. Why shouldn't they have nuclear warheads? England says no, but they all are sore heads. I say a bygone should be a bygone. Let's make peace the way we did in Stanleyville and Saigon. Once all the Germans were warlike and mean, but that couldn't happen again. We taught them a lesson in 1918, and they've hardly bothered us since then. So sleep well, my darling, the Sandman can linger. We know our buddies won't give us the finger. Heil, hail, the Wehrmacht, I mean the Bundeswehr. Hail to our loyal ally. MLF will scare Brezhnev. I hope he is half as scared as I. This year we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War, the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, and the 160th anniversary of the end of the First Civil War. So all in all, it's been a good year for the war buffs. And a number of music producers have come out capitalizing on all this nostalgia, with particular emphasis on the songs of the various wars. Tom Lehrer felt that if any songs are going to come out of World War III, we'd better start writing them now. We have one here. Might call it a bit of pre-nostalgia. Here's the song that some of the boys sang as they went bravely off to World War III. So long, Mom, I'm off to drop the bomb, so don't wait up for me. But while you swelter down there in your shelter, you can see me on your TV. When we've lost all humanity, at 9 o'clock watch Hannity, describing with inanity the cities we have lost. No need for you to miss a minute of the agonizing Holocaust, yeah. Little Little Johnny Jones, he was a U.S. pilot, and no shrinking violet was he. He was mighty proud when World War III was declared. He wasn't scared, no siree. And this is what he said on his way to Armageddon. So long, Mom, I'm off to drop the bomb, so don't wait up for me. Although I may roam, I'll come back to my home, although it may be a pile of debris. Remember, Mommy, I'm off to get a commie, so send me a salami and try to smile somehow. I'll look for you when the war is over, an hour and a half from now. In his 20s, Tom Lehrer was drafted into the Army and spent 2 years working for the NSA. This was in the 1950s, and since the mere fact of the NSA's existence was classified information at the time, he found himself in the unusual position of implicitly using nuclear weapons work as a cover for something more sensitive. While he was there, he circumvented the naval base's ban on alcohol by claiming to have invented the Jell-O shot. And if you look at the Jell-O shot's Wikipedia page, there are several sources to back this up. So, other people claim it was invented in the 14th century, but never mind. Speaking of drinking, time was when an American about to go abroad might be warned by his friends or the guidebooks not to drink the water. But times have changed, and now a foreigner coming to this country expecting fluoride in their water might be offered the following advice. If you visit American City, you will find it very pretty. Just two things of which you must beware. Don't drink the water and don't breathe the air. Pollution, pollution, they got smog and sewage and mud. Turn on your tap and get hot and cold running crud. See the halibuts and the sturgeons being wiped out by detergents. Fish gotta swim and birds gotta fly, but they don't last long if they try. Pollution, pollution, you can use the latest toothpaste and then rinse your mouth with industrial waste. Just go out for a breath of air, and you'll be ready for Medicare. The city streets are really quite a thrill. If the hoods don't get you, the monoxide will. Pollution, pollution, wear a gas mask and a veil. Then you can breathe, long as you don't inhale. Lots of things there that you can drink, but stay away from the kitchen sink. Throw out your breakfast, and I've got a hunch that the folks downstream will drink it for lunch. So go to the city, see the crazy people there, like lambs to the slaughter. They're drinking the water and breathing the air. When he was in college, Tom Lehrer, encouraged by the popularity of his songs on campus, paid $15 for some studio time in order to record his first album. Radio stations of the day would not air his songs due to their content, so he sold his albums on campus for $3. And interest in his recordings spread slowly by word of mouth. Referring to this phenomenon, he said, "Lacking media exposure, my songs spread slowly like herpes rather than Ebola." In his introduction to his next song, he said, in December of 1964, there appeared in the newspaper the juiciest, raciest, spiciest obituary it has ever been my pleasure to read. It was that of a lady named Alma Mahler-Gropius-Werfel, who had managed in her lifetime to acquire as lovers practically all of the top creative men in Central Europe. And among these lovers, who were listed in the obituary, by the way, which was what made it so interesting, there were three whom she went so far as to marry. One of the leading composers, Gustav Mahler, composer of Das Lied von der Erde and other light classics. one of the leading architects, Walter Gropius of the Bauhaus School of Design, and one of the leading writers, Franz Werfel, author of The Song of Bernadette and other masterpieces. It's people like that who make you realize how little you've accomplished. It is a sobering thought that when Mozart was my age, he had been dead for 2 years. It seemed to Tom Lehrer that the story of Alma was the stuff of which ballads should be made. So here is one. The loveliest girl in Vienna was Alma, the smartest as well. Once you picked her up on your antenna, you'd never be free of her spell. Her lovers were many and varied from the day she began her beguine. There were 3 famous ones who she married, and God knows how many between. Alma, tell us, all modern women are jealous. Which of your magical wands got you Gustav and Walter and Franz? The first one she married was Mahler, whose buddies all knew him as Gustav. And each time he saw her, he'd holler, "Ach, that is the Fräulein I must have." Their marriage, however, was murder. He'd scream to the heavens above, "I'm writing das Lied von der Erde, and she only wants to make love." Alma, tell us, all modern women are jealous. You should have a statue in bronze for bagging Gustav and Walter and Franz. While married to Gus, she met Gropius, and soon she was swinging with Walter. Gus died and her teardrops were copious. She cried all the way to the altar, but he would work late at the Bauhaus and only came home now and then. She said, "What am I running? A chow house? It's time to change partners again." Alma, tell us, all modern women are jealous. Though you didn't even use pawns, you got Gustav and Walter and Franz. While married to Walt, she met Werfel, and he too was caught in her net. He married her, but he was careful, 'cause Alma was no Bernadette. And that is the story of Alma, who knew how to receive and to give. The body that reached her embalmer was one that had known how to live. Alma, tell us, how can they help being jealous? Ducks always envy the swans who get Gustav and Walter. You never did falter with Gustav and Walter and Franz. One ever-present fear in our always expanding technological world is the fear of nuclear war. Fortunately, the nuclear powers that be all have responsible leadership that have yet to plunge us into one. Nevertheless, as Tom Lehrer said, proliferation remains the word of the day, and here's a song about that. First we got the bomb, and that was good, 'cause we love peace and motherhood. Then Russia got the bomb, but that's okay, 'cause the balance of power's maintained that way. Who's next? France got the bomb, but don't you grieve, 'cause they're on our side, I believe. China got the bomb, but have no fears. They can't wipe us out for at least 5 years. Who's next? Japan will have its own device, transistorized at half the price. South Africa wants 2, that's right. 1 for the black and 1 for the white. Who's next? Egypt's gonna get 1 too, just to use on you know who. So Israel's getting tense, wants this one in self-defense. The Lord's our shepherd, says the psalm, but just in case, we better get a bomb. Who's next? Luxembourg is next to go, and who knows, maybe Monaco. We'll try to stay serene and calm. When Alabama gets the bomb, who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? And what is it that put America at the forefront of the nuclear nations? And what is it that will allow us to spend $20 billion of your money to put some clown on the moon? Well, it was good old American know-how, that's what, from good old Americans like Dr. Wernher von Braun, a former Nazi who, and this is true, I promise you, in 1953 wrote a book called Project Mars, A Technical Tale, in which he described a fictional Martian obviously a fictional Martian government led by an Elon, spelled E-L-O-N. A title, not a name, for the leader of this Martian community. Could this be a link, a star link, between another Elon's obsession with Mars? Who can say? Gather round while I sing you of Wernher von Braun, a man whose allegiance is ruled by expedience. Call him a Nazi, he won't even frown. Ha! Nazi schmatzi, says Wernher von Braun. Don't say that he's hypocritical, say rather that he's apolitical. Once the rockets are up, who cares where they come down? That's not my department, says Wernher von Braun. Some have harsh words for this man of renown, but some think our attitude should be one of gratitude, like the widows and cripples in old London town, who owe their large pensions to Wernher von Braun. You too may be a big hero, once you've learned to count backwards to 0. In German or English, I know how to count down. And I'm learning Chinese, says Wernher von Braun.
We thought that it would be interesting for you to know a little bit about the genesis of this program. So I met Bobby about how many years ago?
Almost 8.
When he first auditioned for us.
America the Golden Land. Yeah.
America the Golden Land. And we soon discovered that we had this passion and love for Tom Lehrer. So every moment that we had, we would find a moment to do it. And Tom Lehrer was very special to me. In my mother's house, today happens to be her birthday, my mother's birthday, April 9th. And I'm so happy that I have my brother and sister-in-law here and my cousin here, whom we sang every Thanksgiving, the whole Tom Lehrer oeuvre, in addition to Yiddish songs, of course. And I thought, we thought we have to do this, and we thought, well, let's pick a day. So we picked the birthday. And then I thought, well, how nice it would be if we could get Tom Lehrer's attention, if we could contact him in some way, just to let him know that, we're doing this program. So lo and behold, I found a good friend of mine, used to work at Harvard, found an email address for Tom Lehrer. It was, I'm not going to say it. But
it was an AOL email address, which I'm sure will not surprise you.
And Bobby said, that can't be true, when he heard the name. Anyway, so I asked Bobby to write a note, and Bobby wrote the following note to Tom Lehrer.
So you may recall at the top of the show, if you can remember that far back, that I said we couldn't find a number for him, which is true. We found an email for him. I said, "Hello, Mr. Lehrer, or may I call you Tom? In honor of your upcoming birthday, 37, is it? My friend Zalmen Mlotek, the artistic director of the National Yiddish Theater Folksbiene, and I are doing a tribute to you at the Triad Theater at this time, and such a time, and such a date. We aren't asking for anything. We would love to have you at the show, though we are certainly not expecting you to schlep all the way to New York City. All we really want is for you to know that this is happening, and that a birthday tribute to you is selling out on a Wednesday night in 2025. Zalmen and I met doing a show at the Yiddish Theater several years ago and forged an unbreakable bond over our shared love and admiration for you and your songs. My connection to you predates even my own birth. It was Lobachevsky that inspired my mother, Barbara Underwood's senior thesis at Radcliffe on the dawn of non-Euclidean geometry, whatever that is. I hope this was the right email address. If whoever is reading this is not Tom Lehrer, please revel in the knowledge that for a fleeting moment I thought you were. All the best, Bobby Underwood and Zalmen Mlotek.
And we got a response. Dear Bobby and Zalmen, I am delighted to hear of your forthcoming tribute. In fact, I am delighted to hear of any tributes to me as long as they don't cost me anything. Although I am still vertical and ambulatory, albeit with cane, I am not venturing very far these days, so as you correctly surmise, I shall not be able to attend your performance. The best I can do is to thank both of you telepathically for honoring me in this way on my birthday and wish you good luck with the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to put this thing together and for keeping my songs alive for yet another audience, Tom Lehrer. P.S. P.S. Bobby, please thank your mother for me. So it made the whole thing worth it for us.
Believe it or not, I actually cried when I read that. I had barely finished reading the email before I furiously texted Zalmen and said, check your email! And called my mom and said, Tom Lehrer said to say thank you. So, the main thing I took from that, other than the thrill of getting an email from Tom Lehrer, was that he is still the same man who 60 years ago said, life is like a sewer. What you get out of it depends on what you put into it. And it is precisely this sort of dynamic, positive thinking that we so desperately need today in these trying times of crisis and universal brouhaha. And so with this in mind, we have here his dynamic, positive song, uplifting song in the tradition of the great old revival hymns. This one might more accurately be termed a survival hymn. It goes like this. When you attend a funeral, it is sad to think that sooner or later those you love will do the same for you. And you may have thought it tragic, not to mention other adjectives, to think of all the weeping they will do. But don't you worry, no more ashes, no more sackcloth, and an armband made of black cloth will someday nevermore adorn a sleeve. For if the bomb that drops on you gets your friends and neighbors too, there'll be nobody left behind to grieve, and we will all go together when we go. What a comforting fact that is to know. Universal bereavement, an inspiring achievement. Yes, we all will go together when we go. We will all go together when we go. All suffused with an incandescent glow. No one will have the endurance to collect on his insurance. Lloyds of London will be loaded when they go. We will all fry together when we fry. We'll be French fried potatoes by and by. There will be no more misery when the world is our rotisserie. Yes, we all will fry together when we fry. Down by the old maelstrom, there'll be a storm before the calm, and we will all bake together when we bake. There'll be nobody present at the wake. With complete participation in that grand incineration, nearly 3 billion hunks of well-done steak. We will all char together when we char, and let there be no moaning of the bar. Just sing out a TDM when you see that ICBM, and the party will become as you are. We will all burn together when we burn. There'll be no need to stand and wait your turn. When it's time for the fallout and St. Peter calls us all out, we'll just drop our agendas and adjourn. You will all go directly to your respective Valhallas. Go directly, do not pass, go, do not collect $200. And we will all go together when we go. Every Hottentot and every Eskimo. When the air becomes Uranus, we will all go simultaneous. Yes, we all will go together when we all go together. Yes, we all will go together when we go. Well, it is that time. We must do all the thank yous. Bernie Furshban and Russell Moss, and for having us here at the Triad Theater. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you to Jeff Newelt. Thank you to Ben Hostetler for doing sound and lights. Thank you to Moishe Rosenfeld for putting this whole thing together. Thank you to all of you for coming out. And most of all, I want to thank my collaborator and friend, Zalmen Mlotek. And above all, we want to thank the man without whom none of this would be possible, Tom Lehrer, who in 2022 did the unthinkable for a songwriter. He put his songs into the public domain. He said, I no longer retain any rights to any of my songs, so please help yourself and don't send me any money. So we didn't. To continue, get on with our finale. One of the main, when Tom Lehrer was writing for That Was the Week That Was, one of the central news stories was the Second Vatican Council, also known as Vatican II, which proposed many changes to the Catholic Church. And Tom Lehrer said, among these changes that they have proposed include changing the vernacular, introducing the vernacular in portions of the Mass to replace Latin, and to widen somewhat the range of music permissible in the liturgy. But I feel that if they really want to sell the product in this secular age, what they ought to do is redo some of the music in popular song form. We have a modest example here. It's called The Vatican Rag. First you get down on your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, genuflect, genuflect. Do whatever steps you want if you have cleared them with the pontiff. Everybody say his own Kyrie eleison, doing the Vatican Rag. In that processional, step into that small confessional. There the guy who's got religion'll tell you if your sin's original. If it is, try plain and safer. Drink the wine and chew the wafer. 2, 4, 6, 8. Time to transubstantiate. So get down upon your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, genuflect, genuflect. Make a cross on your abdomen. When in Rome, do like a Roman. Ave Maria, gee, it's good to see you. Getting ecstatic and a sort of dramatic, and are doing the Vatican Rag. One more? All right, one more. We don't have that one. But 5 years ago, a mysterious virus overtook the world. I don't know if you remember that. And it immediately reminded both of us of the following song, which, according to some sources, may have been written as early as 1954. I love my friends, and they love me. We're just as close as we can be. And just because we really care, whatever we get, we share. I got it from Agnes, she got it from Jim. We all agree it must have been Louise who gave it to him. Now she got it from Harry, who got it from Marie. And everybody knows that Marie got it from me. Giles got it from Daphne, she got it from Joan, who picked it up in County Cork, a kissing the Blarney Stone. Pierre gave it to Sheila, who must have brought it there. He got it from Francois and Jacques, ha-ha, lucky Pierre. Max got it from Edith, who gets it every spring. She got it from her daddy, who just gives her everything. She then gave it to Daniel, whose spaniel has it now. Our president even got it, and we're still wondering how. But I got it from Agnes, or maybe it was Sue, or Millie, or Billy, or Julie, or Willie, it doesn't matter who. It might have been at the pub, or at the club, or in the loo. And if you will be my friend, then I might, mind you, I said might, give it to you. One more, if you know this one, sing along. I'm spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica, wearing sandals, lighting candles by the sea. I spent Shavuos in East St. Louis, a charming spot, but clearly not the spot for me. Those eastern winters, I can't endure 'em, so every year I pack my gear and come out here till Purim, Rosh Hashanah. I spend in Arizona, and Yom Kippur way down in Mississippi. But in December, there's just one place for me. Amid the California flora, I'll be lighting my menorah like a baby in his cradle. I'll be playing with my dreidel, spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica by the sea. Sing along. I'm spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica, wearing sandals, lighting candles by the sea. I spent Shavuos in East St. Louis, a charming spot, but clearly not the spot for me. Those eastern winters, I can't endure 'em, so every year I pack my gear and come out here till Purim, Rosh Hashanah. I spend in Arizona, and Yom Kippur way down in Mississippi. But in December, there's just one place for me. Amid the California flora, I'll be lighting my menorah like a baby in his cradle. I'll be playing with my dreidel. Here's the Judas Maccabeus. Why, if you could only see us spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica by the sea.
Let's keep it going for Bobby Underwood and Zalmen, Mlotek.
It's no shame to be poor.